Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Kevin Grevioux, the creator of Marvel's Blue Marvel, sent me a copy of the second book in the Darkstorm series. And I really want to thank Kevin for going out here and sending me the copy of Book 2 of Darkstorm, which follows up all the action that took place in Book 1. And Book 2 was just as fantastic as Book 1, and I really enjoyed this book. Now, one of the indicators that you're having a great time with a comic is when you start hearing the characters speak back to you. And with Darkstorm, this was the first time I ever heard the character of Darkstorm or Kevin speak back to me. And he was sounding a lot like Avery Brooks on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And this entire second book really reminded me a lot of all the action in a big epic saga, sort of like Star Trek Deep Space Nine was, and the overall art and storytelling took me back to the great days of the John Byrne run and the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby runs of Fantastic Four. And I have to say that Darkstorm Book 2 is one of the best comics of 2024, and it's one that I definitely recommend you pick up. It's one that I really enjoyed, and one that I really am eager to go out here and share with you. Now, the action in Darkstorm Book 2 follows up on the action that took place in Darkstorm Book 1, and it basically continues on building up the story of Book 2. But if you didn't read Book 1, this book is a good, solid entry point into the Darkstorm character and the world of heroes that Darkstorm is a part of. And I'm going to open up this fantastic comic so that you can see how much fun this book is. I'm just going to get this out of the plastic because over here at the Sean James channel, and with me overall as related to comics, I see comics as something that you should enjoy, not just keep up in a plastic just to be able to make some money on later on. No, I have three milk crates filled with comics, and they have been well read and loved. And it's not about, for me, having books in pristine mint condition. While I do have a couple of books that are very fine and in an okay condition, I try to keep I love to read my comics, and Darkstorm was a lot of fun to read, and it was great to see Darkstorm, a black hero, showing how he approaches the world of being a hero completely different than his contemporaries in the comic. Now, this book has some great writing from Kevin Grevioux and has even fantastic art from Ruben Marigi, who basically, and Jeffrey Gwynn and Paul Rodrigues. Again, Kevin has 3 artists on this book, and they all do a great job. And all of them really remind me of the great work that Walt Simonson did on the Thor comic in the 80s. And this book basically opens up with the Cosmic Triad looking to start some trouble in Lower Manhattan, and nobody knows what to do. Somebody saying call the National Guard or to call the police. But we see that these guys, again, with their cosmic powers, are a bit more than law enforcement can handle, and they're wreaking a lot of havoc in the streets of New York. Now, I do have a bone to pick here. I wish that there was more pictures of the city. Now, I'm happy to see the action, but I wanted to see more of the city in action, see some of the streets and stuff. That would make it really feel like it came to life. But we got some great action sequences, and we see the showcase of the Cosmic Triad showcasing their power. And in the first 3 pages, we get to see how much of a threat these characters are, and that really gets us in. So the first 3 pages do a great job of introducing us to the threat, and then we see Darkstorm coming into action on the 4th page, and everybody is shocked that he's coming in. And as he's coming in, he's basically washing these guys like Tide, Whisk, and Clorox, and about to finish them off with some dryer sheets. And I love seeing this whole action sequence of him washing these dudes. I mean, this was just, again, a fun sequence in this book that got me all in. And after he takes care of business with the cosmic triad and finishes them off with dryer sheets and folds them up like laundry, we've got the media coming in and asking Darkstorm about his mission as a hero and his exploits as a hero. And again, this is a great use of the first 5 to 7 pages. Just draws you right in, introduces you to the threat, introduces you to Darkstorm, and shows you how he goes out here and takes on these super-powered threats, draws you right into the story. I mean, this is what great comic book storytelling is, and I really enjoyed everything building up. And then I love this final panel. Again, he's reminded me a lot of Ben Sisko right here. Brother is looking like when the cameras are on him. I mean, I felt like I was, again, listening to Avery Brooks, and Avery Brooks is one of my favorite actors. I mean, I loved Avery Brooks in A Man Called Hawk. I loved him in Deep Space Nine, and I could just hear his voice as Darkstorm. And basically, as I was reading the book, I felt like I was hearing Avery Brooks, and I could just see him in the role. And it was just, I'm sad to hear that Avery Brooks no longer acts anymore. He's been teaching at a university for the last, I think, about 10, 15 years. He's been teaching, acting. But I love this sequence. And as the sequence goes on, we get introduced to more new characters in the Darkstorm world. This is one of the other things I like about this second book, is we get this build up of the world. We get this great build up of the world. We get introduced as related to a Asian reporter who's interested in getting Kevin's story, and we get later on the page introduced to a police officer who may play a role in future stories. And I love the panels here at the top of the page. I mean, there's a nice contrast here as related to the top of the page, where we see the reporter's face as related to her interaction with Darkstorm, and we see this page with the officer's interaction. And in this one, we see how she's looking at Darkstorm, and this is a contrast of Kevin looking at her. Beautiful contrast on these two pages, and I just love the visual storytelling here. It just really comes to life on these pages as related to the human interactions that this incredibly powerful character has with people. And that's something I really liked about this book, is we're starting to see this world build, and we're starting to get to know people in this world. And I love the contrast of the page at the top as related to the officer, and then at the bottom with the reporter in this page. Again, this is brilliant storytelling as related to things, and it's little nuances like this that can really make a comic really become more compelling, is seeing these interactions and relationships that the hero has with people. It's one of those things that I miss about Marvel Comics and DC Comics, is that we really don't see that interaction with people anymore as related to just regular civilians. I mean, I remember in the days of the 80s and the 70s when I started to get into comics, I would see regular people in a comic, and I really miss that, because comics have become so insular that we don't get to see those people interactions. But I really like that about Darkstorm. I really like that about Darkstorm, is that we get to see people, and as we get to see people and things are going on, this is where the version of the Justice League that Kevin has created, or the Avengers, they are having an issue with Darkstorm. And this is one of the major points of the first part of the story, because they want him to join their team, but Darkstorm, being a black man, wants to do things differently. And that's one of the things I like about the Darkstorm character, is that he's a guy, he likes to roll solo, he likes to do his own thing, and basically shows a strong image of black manhood and black masculinity. That's one of those things I like about the Darkstorm character, is how he shows that strength of character to stand up as his own man and do his own thing, and isn't looking for all of this validation and acceptance, and is looking to, again, serve as a hero to save the world, not looking for validation and approval of anybody else, but wants to do his own thing. And that's one of the strongest parts of his character, is that image of, again, manhood and masculinity, that he's willing to stand up and be that man. Moreover, he's looking to show compassion to other people. That's one of the things I like about this character, is how balanced this character is, because we can see in the first 6 or 7 pages, him beating up some cosmic bad guys and washing them, taking them to the laundry. But in later on, we see how this former member of the military shows compassion to his fellow veterans. I mean, we get a lot of depth and layers with the Kevin character, and as he is Darkstorm, again, showing how his greatest power is his compassion and his heart. And that's shown in several pages as related to a former veteran who I think is building up to become another member of his, possibly a member of his Rogues Gallery. I mean, this is the comic book writer in me. I mean, the comic book writer in me can see how things are building up. And I don't want to give up way too much, but there's just so much great stuff in here. I mean, it's just so much great stuff in this second book of Darkstorm. And again, if things move on and we get a nice build-up into the Magus character, I mean, Darkstorm has an interaction with Magus. We get a great preview of the Magus character, who's really, his symbol reminded me of the late Neil Adams megalith from his continuity comics. That's what the symbol reminds me of a bit. But we see the Magus character, and we get a great introduction to this character and his part of the Darkstorm universe. Now, this book basically it's then 60 plus pages. And again, I don't want to give away too much of Kevin's work because he worked hard on this comic. So I'm going to stop right here as related to showing off pages of the comic because I don't want to give away too much of his work. And again, I don't really want to, again, do things and say things that will give away too much of the story. And I want to give it away because this is a great comic, and I want you to experience it yourself. Because while many other YouTube channels talk about moving the needle, I'm the guy who wants to see independent comic creators like Kevin Grevioux be able to grow their business. And I want you to go out here and pick those comics up, like Darkstorm Book 2 and even Darkstorm Book 1, because we've got a great, fantastic world being built here, and I want you guys to go out here and check out that world, a world that really, again, is growing with each passing book. And I love this book as related to the whole part of them trying to offer him a chance to be on the team, basically offering him what he thought was a token position, but with Darkstorm basically looking at it and seeing it for what it was, and seeing how he would basically not be able to help out the world because as a member of the former military, he could see the subtle politics transpiring around him. And that was one trait of the character I really enjoyed because that really reminded me of my own character, John Haynes, really reminded me of John Haynes and how he's out here, a guy with incredible power, but he's out here, going out here as the man who rules the world, doing things on his own terms. And that's what I liked about Darkstorm here, as related to doing things on his own terms. That was what I really enjoyed about the overall Darkstorm Book 2, was seeing how he was becoming a part of a larger world and how his approach to going out here and being a hero was very different than the heroes in that world, and how he basically had to go out here and stand up like a man, and stand up for what he believed in. That's one of the core things that I really enjoy about the Darkstorm character, is he does things on his own terms. He's a very intelligent, educated brother who's on point. Really enjoy those traits of the character. Now, if I have any nitpicks about the Darkstorm comic, the second book, is only one issue I have is with the pacing. It goes a little too fast for me. I mean, as a writer, what I want to do with my bad guys is really let people get to know those bad guys. And I want them to get to know the bad guys because the relationship between the bad guys and the hero is important. I mean, with Kevin, he wants to make us see that there's bad guys and that the heroes, the so-called heroes, are not that great. But I really want to see some more character developments to show how these villains are a bit of a credible threat. I want to see a bit more of a relationship because the Cosmic Trinity, we really didn't get to know them very well, and we really don't get to know a lot of the villains very well. I mean, I really want to see more of a focus on, Darkstorm taking on one bad guy at a time, but that's my approach to storytelling. I mean, usually when I do books like John Haynes at Death's Door, I usually just focus on one bad guy and have them be the threat, but this is a 64-page comic, And I mean, Kevin's trying to build a world very quickly, so I understand what he's trying to do with Darkstorm, but I really would like to see some of these characters get a little bit more development so that they can go out here and develop their voice the way Darkstorm developed it. I mean, Darkstorm in this book, I could hear Avery Brooks's voice as Darkstorm. I could hear Avery Brooks as Kevin with that deep baritone voice, and I could hear him again talking to people. And that's when a character's talking to you, that's a good sign when a character's talking to you, because when characters talk to you, that means you're connecting with the character. And I was connecting with the Darkstorm character here, and I really, again, as I was getting into this book, it just really got me excited. And seeing the ending of this book, I'm looking forward to the third book, and I'm looking forward to see what else Kevin is building in this world that feels really large. Now, with Magus, I could hear Keith David's voice as the Magus, and again, very interesting stuff. I mean, very interesting stuff, and this world is becoming more and more fascinating, and this is why I can highly recommend you pick up Darkstorm. I can recommend you pick up Darkstorm at Kevin Grevioux' website. I'm going to leave a link to that website if I can find it. I mean, I want you guys to start picking up the books of Darkstorm comics. Go over to darkstormcomics.com and pick up these comics. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed at all. This is one of the best books of 2024, and I urge you, please go out here and pick up Darkstorm. I mean, he's better than what they were trying to do over at Milestone with Icon, where he's basically been emasculated, and Kevin takes a great shot at Icon in this book. I mean, he takes a great shot at Icon in this book, and I want you to go pick it up so you can see him take that shot. I mean, this book is, again, a lot of fun with the action and adventure, and I really want to thank Kevin for taking the time to send me a copy of Darkstorm Book 2 to go along with Darkstorm Book 1. I mean, I really enjoyed reading these comics, and I really am eager to get you guys to go pick up more of these books. I mean, when there's great action-packed black fantasy, I want you to get a hold of that fantasy, and Darkstorm is a comic I want you guys to go out here and pick up, because it's one I believe you'll definitely enjoy. Now, if you want to check out my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can get a paper copy of that book on Lulu.com right now, and you can also get a digital copy now on Amazon.com as the John Haynes at Death's Door manga. When that book is, again, right now available for about $3.99 as a sale price for a limited time, so you can get your copy of John Haynes at Death's Door on Amazon right now, and you can pick up the books of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, such as John Haynes Illuminati, ISIS Dark Incubus, and Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. You can find all of those books right now on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about comics and do more great comic reviews of great comics like Darkstorm, you can send a donation to the Patreon, PayPal, or the Cash App, so I can go out here and put money on many other independent comic creators' comics, so that I can go out here and buy their comics and continue supporting the independent comic book community and many of the great independent comic creators out here. This is what I try to do. While many other comic YouTubers sit here and complain about the comic book industry, I work towards the solution by working with independent comic creators to help get the word out about their books so that more customers can discover great characters like Kevin Grevioux' Darkstorm. And that's all I have to say for this comic review video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at Lulu.com today. Now available in paperback at e-readers, ISIS Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get your copy of ISIS Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.